Exposed, the hidden factors causing delays on your project. In this video, I'm going to show you how your project got behind or could get behind, and in simple terms explain the theory behind it. So there are 4 things you got to watch out for with this, 4 things that contribute to extended schedules, and a grand key that you must always remember. So let's get started right now. So when projects start to get behind, it's typically because of a couple of these reasons. Let me explain these one by one. So if you have your time by location schedule format with your first, second, and third trade, like we always talk about on these videos, and you have your nice parallelogram, the key things that you cannot fail to do are, number 1, managing the supply chain. So we've talked about you must have a buffer before this wagon starts. You must have your actual delivery, okay? And this makes sure that you can get your materials on time. You've got to have your fabrication, which is your make portion, and then the design. So not managing this process is one of the biggest problems in construction. Typically, we don't enable the designers. We do not understand the actual cycle time with fabrication and understand the proper lead time. We don't manage delivery in a way where it can get through our ports properly, and we don't have enough of the material on site to actually supply the work packages inside of the tacked wagon itself. The other thing we don't do, typically in construction very well, is this 3 months ahead of time getting the pull plan done, 3 weeks before the activity, doing the quality pre-construction meeting, and then looking out ahead in the actual schedule to make sure that we are finding and removing roadblocks and making work ready. Which is also 3, we don't prepare the work properly within that framework. And 4, typically in our schedules, we don't put it on a rhythm, which is the true key to flow. This is kind of an overview of why projects typically go wrong. We've got to be able to, oh my gosh, this is so good. We've got to be able to plan projects, and this is in the book, How Big Things Get Done, okay? Plan projects. We've got to use the right systems, and we have to have people in here with the right training, okay? And if we don't have these, we are going to fail. So the plan, the systems, and the training in this overall framework. But there are things that contribute to delays that I'm going to talk about right now. So let's go over this right now. We have the work package that we're talking about, and we have to make sure that we have the ability to build by planning this first, building it right, and finishing as you go, which means that you'll need a buffer out in advance, and you will need to deliver the product, you will need to make the product, and you will need to design to that work package. And then that wagon or work package will repeat from zone to zone to zone on a rhythm. So that's what we should be doing. Now, there's a couple of things here. When we don't have that rhythm, and you typically have your Gantt charts or your silly industry CPM schedules, which do not work, instead of creating a nice, if I do a histogram here, a nice leveled work, right? In the CPM schedules, you have something like this, where you're exceeding your capacity. So there are reasons why your project gets behind that I'm going to talk to you about now. When you bring out too much of something, you have consequences. Now, I'm going to go fast. The first part I do cover in other videos. But when you bring out too many people to try and do this in a CPM schedule, you then start to batch. When you start to batch, then you have context switching. When you have context switching, that means that it takes an additional 15 to 45 minutes to get something done. Then you have larger teams. When you have larger teams, then team sizes get basically complex to communicate with. You have a change in crews, okay? That means that the leader might change or the crew composition changes. And then that means you have unnecessary onboarding, which takes at least 7 days to get a worker onboarded to 100% productivity. Typically, you'll have overtime, and overtime fatigues the crew and reduces their overall productivity. Then once they're tired, they start installing things the wrong way, and then you have rework, which is detrimental to a project because then that leads to the lack of removal of roadblocks, which means that you now have stops and restarts. So this is too much, and I'm going to put resources or people. That means you're just bringing out random people over here to manage this increased work in process above the capacity of the job site instead of leveling it like I'm telling you to do. The second thing that I want to talk about is when you have too much, and what I mean by this is too much work in process. So I'm just going to call this WIP. When you have this right here, we've covered this in another video which we can link you to, but when you have a higher amount of utilization, okay, that means that your cycle times, okay, increase. That means that you have, if you have too much utilization, let's just use the freeway example, there's too many cars on the freeway, the time it takes you to get to work is longer, okay? The second thing is that if you have a bottleneck in the actual system, like in this actual schedule or in your CPM schedule, which in CPM you can't see, then you can increase your work in process all you want. It will only hurt you by bringing out too many materials, which we'll talk about in a minute. But again, you will never go faster than your bottleneck. So that's the second relationship within this too much work in process. The other thing is when you have too much work in process, your overall throughput times extend. What that means is the more cars you put on a freeway, the longer it takes for a group of cars to actually get from end to end. And so when we talk about tax plans and production systems with leveled work and it has a certain end date, that is the fastest, okay? When you see silly CPM schedules which are increasing your work in process early on, it actually is not going to finish here, which is what people think. It's going to finish way out here because it's only going to extend because of these three things. Okay, so let me keep going and I'm going to talk to you about two more too muches. The third too much is when we bring out too much materials, again, because of this problem here where we're rushing and pushing and panicking. So for materials, when you have too many materials, you have the 8 wastes. You have overproduction, so you overproduce, okay? And once you overproduce, you have excess, and this is the key, you have excess inventory. And when you have excess inventory, then you have to move that stuff. So you have motion, and not only motion with equipment, but you have motion of human beings, right? And then you also have number 4, which is a waste, sometimes necessary, but a waste, which is transportation. Okay, I'll just do transport. When you're transporting things, you have number 5, it causes defects. Now I want you to know that when you are transporting materials, you can cause defects, or you're so busy doing this that you didn't do it right the first time and you have defects. Either way, but once you have defects, you have 6, over processing when you need to fix them, and that's a bad thing because that creates waiting. And this could be waiting in 2 different categories: workers waiting on work or work waiting on workers. And it was all a waste because you could have used the genius of the team. Oh, by the way, just in case you think that I'm blaming you, our industry, because of unhealthy competition, didn't use the genius of the team. People not reading books and getting training could have used the genius of the team. Like, this is an industry systemic problem that I'm talking about. But when you don't create a nice flow and you attempt these silly CPM schedules with their forward and their backward pass, which scrunches all of this work into a high level of work in process above the capacity, and you also have to bring out too much or too many materials, which causes the 8 wastes. And the other thing that you have, number 4 of too much, when you have too much push, and really there is no good reason for push. When you are attempting to do this, you're pushing, rushing, and panicking people. Well, when you push and panic people, actually I'll just go ahead and write that up. You'll panic people, then you have the following effects, which all loses productivity. By the way, in case you're not following where we're going, I first talked to you about how bringing too many people can hurt you. then how having too much work in process can hurt you, and then how having too many materials can hurt you, and now how having too much push and panic can hurt you. Because when you have panic on the job, because instead of having a flow, you're trying this CPM schedule with too much pushed and rushed work in process, which most project management systems incentivize you to do, then you get decreased productivity. So you get decreased productivity because you are not getting the best wisdom of the team, because they're so rushed, pushed, and panicked, they don't have time to plan. So you have decreased productivity when you actually panic. The second thing that you get is poor decision making. So again, you don't even have the time to plan or collaborate with other people. The third thing you get is communication breakdown, okay? Because again, you don't have time to get everybody on the same page, so communication breaks down. You increase something with the team that actually is called distress, because all types of stress are not bad. Sometimes you have eustress, but distress is bad because it hurts the morale of the person, fatigues them, and then obviously creates a feedback loop for these other items. Once that happens, you have a loss of trust in the team. So the team breaks down, which if you read Patrick Lencioni is one of the worst things that can happen. And then you start to impact culture, okay? So I hope that this was clear. The bottom line is we expect you to consider designing, making, delivering, and building in a rhythm like I've shown right here and on attack time. When you have your CPM schedule with your work breakdown structure, which rushes and pushes and panics and doesn't create trade flow, and you start to increase your work in process above capacity, then you will 100% bring out more resources, lose production. You will increase work in process and lose production. You will bring out too many materials and lose production, and you will rush, push, and panic, and you will lose production. And those are the hidden causes, the hidden factors behind delays on your construction project. And I'm going to link you in the description below to a Canva graphic that explains this, and invite you to go to the leantac.com website or reach out to me or any of us at the Elevate and LeanTac team. We can do a flow analysis and see if you're having a problem with too much work in process at any point in your project, and if you're experiencing any of those productivity losses. We're here to help. We can help you with your project and keep it from delaying. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.